Good evening, friends. Our program will begin in 1 minute, so please find a seat. Please welcome funders for LGBTQ Issues Board Member Trishala Deb.
Hello, everybody. Hello. If you love queers, clap 1 time. If you love trans people, clap 2 times. If you love liberation, clap 3 times. Okay, it's so good to see every one of you. If you love liberation, you should stop talking. Because we love you too. All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Funders for LGBTQ Issues Pride and Philanthropy Awards. My name is Trishala Deb, and I serve on the board of directors for Funders of LGBTQ Issues. This January, Funders released its next strategic plan, which clarified a new mission for the organization, building off of 40 years of philanthropic organizing. It also named an organizational vision for the first time. We at Funders envision a world where all queer, trans, and gender nonconforming people are liberated, loved, valued, respected, and thriving. In service of our mission and vision, the Funders for LGBTQ staff came together during the strategic planning process to determine and define organizational values to guide our work. One of these values is joy, and it is joy that brings us here tonight. Y'all know I can talk a lot about dystopic futures, but we want this evening to be one of celebration. This year, these last several years, have been really hard for our communities, to say the least. We're living through unprecedented times where the rule book is constantly changing. It's a moment of hope and a moment of strife, but tonight we choose to linger on the former of these. 42 years ago, when Funders was founded, foundation funding for the LGBTQ communities totaled less than $250,000 annually. As of 2022, that number exceeds $258 million a year, and it's still not enough. We've come a long way, and as Funders resource tracking reports will tell you, we still have a long way to go. Still, we would not be here today without transformative leadership in this work, without the people and institutions committed to resourcing our liberation creatively and in strategic partnership with community and co-conspirators in the field. We in this room know the truth. Philanthropy is slow and stubborn and very annoying sometimes, but this year's slate of awardees have all led strategic, intentional, and impactful work in service of a more responsive and responsible sector. It is our hope in recognizing the achievements of these individuals and institutions to celebrate what they have taught us. That is, to celebrate what philanthropy can be. So to begin tonight's celebration, I'd like to pass the mic to Funders for LGBTQ Issues President, Saida Agostini Bostic. You are our leader who brings hope, poetry, vision, fierce determination, and spirit to all of us. We love you so much. Thank you.
Wow. I'm going to just take a moment today that I'm feeling really emotional as I look out on all of you and the ways in which each and every single one of you find a way to show up, no matter what we're being told about ourselves and the people that we love on the news or on social media or by certain candidates. We continue to show up. So I just want to say thank you for being here and looking so good. And April, I'm going to get back onto the notes. April runs a tight ship, and I don't want her to come at me. Good evening. My name is Saida Agostini Bostic. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I have the incredible honor of being the president of Funders for LGBTQ Issues. It can feel a bit surreal to insist on celebrations in a moment where we are witnessing such intense fracturing of the rights of queer and trans people, Black and brown folks, disabled communities, and dispossessed communities around the world. Yet it feels, for me, even more urgent and necessary in this time to celebrate and honor those who have resisted the call of hopelessness and shaped fear into a new kind of faith. I think, honestly, to be in queer and trans movement building, faith is the heart and root of what sustains us in times like these. When what we built feels so fragile and vulnerable, it's important for me to come back to the lessons of organizers, artists, and freedom fighters who have built a world that would have felt unimaginable to me at 20. I've been reading the work of Muriel Rukeyser lately. She was a queer, I know, right? She was a queer, bisexual, Jewish poet and freedom fighter, and she wrote this poem called "I Lived in the First Century of World Wars." And then she says this: "I make my poems for others, unseen and unborn, considering a nameless way of living of almost unimagined values. As the light darkened, as the lights of night brightened, we would try to imagine them, try to find each other, tried to construct peace, to make love, to reconcile, waking with sleep, ourselves with each other, ourselves with ourselves. We would try by any means to reach the limits of ourselves, to reach beyond ourselves, to let go the means, to wake. I know, right? When I think about the people and institutions who have worked to reach beyond ourselves, to build a world of unimagined values, I think of our honorees today. Catherine Acey. Okay, y'all, you're gonna get a chance. You're gonna get a chance to do the applause. I promise, but I love the excitement. Who stewarded our vision with the support of our first funders at the Estrella Lesbian Foundation for Justice. Ricky Mananzala. Y'all are trying to get me in trouble with April, okay? Don't make me have this graduation style. Remember, like you couldn't applause until everyone walked the line, you know? But Ricky, who quite frankly should just start the House of Mananzala, there are not many queer and trans people of color in philanthropy who can't attest to Ricky's seismic impact, myself included. The Campaign for Southern Equality and the Queer Mobilization Fund, who highlight the power of queer and trans intermediaries in funding some of the most powerful and innovative movement building in the country. And last, but in no way least, the Fund for Trans Generations at Borealis, which reflects the power of trans-led organizing across the philanthropic sector. And I lied, that's not last but least. Last but not least is Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. That shows us the power internal staff organizing can have on institutionalizing queer and trans funding when it's been long overlooked. The Pride in Philanthropy Awards started in 2017 as a celebration of our 35th anniversary. We are so fortunate and lucky to be now gathering for the fourth time to acknowledge the achievements of individuals and institutions committed to do this sacred work of world building. Each of our past and present honorees have built and are building pieces of the infrastructure to ensure our sector has deepening investments in queer and trans-led movements around the country. And with that, I want to ask each of you to please join me in a toast to tonight's honorees and to each of you for your organizing and faith. It moves us beyond the limits of ourselves to a new world grounded in joy and tremendous love. To all those that work to construct faith, freedom, and love, to funders for LGBTQ issues. Cheers. Thank you.
Hello. It is hard to follow a femme in that dress, but I'm going to do my best. My name is Rebecca Fox. I'm the vice president. I'm the vice president of programs at the Estrella Lesbian Foundation for Justice, founded in part by the one Catherine Acey. And tonight, I'm honored to be here and be presenting this award to Ricky. Ricky's work speaks for itself. He currently serves as the president of the New York Foundation, where he works to keep this city a place where people of color, immigrants, and queer and trans communities thrive. Ricky has always worked for our communities, whether as a co-director of Fierce, launching the first fund at what would become Borealis, or working side by side with our beloved Irv at the Viad Group. He was also the board chair of Funders directly after me, and that overlap experience was one of the greatest working experiences of my life. The thing with Ricky is that you can read his resume and come away with an understanding of how impressive he is on paper, But to truly know Ricky, we should look at who this award is named for. The Reed Erickson Award for Trailblazing Philanthropic Leadership is named after the first known trans philanthropist in the United States, who donated to trans justice causes in the 1960s and 1970s. But Mr. Erickson was not only the first trans philanthropist, he also owned a tiger and had 3 wives over his lifetime. As with Mr. Erickson, to know Ricky's resume is to know only a part of him. But you know, you're not gonna tell any of Ricky's business because then that's out. Ricky is a dedicated friend and a caring colleague. He's a CrossFitter and a lifter who was my coach for the first competition I ever did and encouraged me to reach out and become a different person. He may not have a tiger, but he does have a small dog named Leo that weighs 16 pounds. Ricky consistently shows up for his community, his friends, and his colleagues. He provides kind and thoughtful guidance that's rooted in justice and love. And the only thing Ricky does not help us with is gossip or a social media presence. A true rarity in queer and translandia. Ricky understands that this is long-haul work, and he keeps us grounded in that reality, and in the truth that philanthropy at its very best is not about glorifying ourselves or our own work, but about making sure the activists doing the hard work, the life-saving work, are getting the funds they need to survive. Ricky personifies that today and every day. And today and every day, I am grateful for your support, your wisdom, and most of all, your friendship. Please join me in congratulating Ricky.
Okay, I was a little worried. I'm only leaving with a tiger. No other gossip, thanks, Rebecca. I'm so grateful to be recognized along such dedicated people and organizations, many of whom I've had been so lucky to work with over the years. But I gotta be honest, this is gonna get awkward. I'm not so sure I'm a trailblazer, but let me explain. I'm more into cycling. So are there any hikers in the room? Where's Glow? Come on, okay. I think, so you're gonna help me out, right? So I think this is what a trailblazer is. So they were originally described as those who would literally blaze a trail through the wilderness, making new paths for others to follow, right? Right, okay. So when we think of trailblazers, some may picture lone individuals carving new paths where none existed before. Let's explore some different ways of thinking about this. I'm imagining a forest. Ready? A single path through it is useful, but limited, right? Now picture a network of interconnected trails, each forged by a range of people and communities, allowing for countless possibilities. So maybe trailblazing isn't just about being the first or the fastest, and instead about creating spaces and opportunities for others to add to the network of trails, right? Or maybe it's about building bridges, not just crossing them. But I know this group doesn't romanticize the idea of the lone wolf or tiger, whatever, who single-handedly transforms the world, that instead we're all doing our part to build a network of trails to freedom. So look around, seriously, give snaps, claps, or gentle high fives to your neighbor, because we need each other now more than ever. Yeah, because it's been rough, right? It's been rough watching the attacks on our communities, especially trans communities and trans youth in particular. And it's crystal clear these attacks are a part of a broader coordinated effort targeting marginalized communities, whether it's Black, immigrant, women, or working class people. These forces obviously are trying to divide us, but as we've learned from history, solidarity is our most powerful tool. And that's why I'm hopeful we'll win, because our movements are increasingly connected and full of trailblazers. Right? People who have pushed back against the system designed to exclude us and built movements that prioritize not just our survival, but our liberation. So, who are the real trailblazers? I think it's the grassroots social justice movement leaders who are the true trailblazers. Right? It's the Black, brown, indigenous, queer, trans, and disabled leaders who are navigating these hostile political landscapes, showing us where we need to go. Like Elisa Crespo, the executive director of the New Pride Agenda, who's here with us tonight. Elisa, we're very proud to support your work, the New York Foundation. Elisa and NPA are fighting anti-trans attacks here, right in New York State, as a part of a broad pro-democracy coalition to enshrine LGBTQ rights, abortion access, and more as a part of our state constitution. Our job, especially in, yes, this is hard work. Please go see her tonight and hear about this amazing work that she is leading as one of the only trans-led organizations leading that work, please. So our job, especially in philanthropy, is to follow the lead of these trailblazers, to keep pace with them and ensure they have the resources they need to win. So this is why the work of Funders for LGBTQ Issues is so critical in this moment. Under the leadership of Saida in this fabulous dress, my goodness, and the wonderful board and staff, they are pushing all of us to think bigger, act bolder, and make sure our resources match the scale and the challenges our movements face. Before that music comes on to wrap it up, where's April? Here's the wrap it up music. I want to close by lifting up the legacy of two remarkable trailblazers, Catherine Acey and Urvashi Vad, may she rest in power. Catherine's unwavering commitment to justice and Urvashi's fierce leadership changed the landscape of LGBTQ philanthropy and advocacy. Their work laid the groundwork for so much of what we're doing today. Their legacies live on in the movements they nurtured and the lives they touched, including mine. Thank you. Thank you again to Funders for LGBTQ Issues and everybody in this room. Let us continue on the trails that have been forged by our movements and keep pushing philanthropy to rise to the challenges of this moment. It'll be worth it. Rumor has it, there might be a double rainbow at the end of this trail. Thank you.
Okay, I'm remembering, Ricky, you have a very good, you're darn good at speeches. So I'm gonna do my, my little thing here. No. All right, hi everybody. When I grow up, I want to be like Ricky. Yeah, so, right. Hi everybody, my name is Alexander Lee. You can call me Alex. Yeah. I use he and him pronouns, and I have the privilege of serving as the Deputy Director for Funders for LGBTQ Issues. Yeah. So I'm here today to present the Out for Impact Award, which honors philanthropic institutions that have been trailblazers in grant-making aimed at addressing urgent needs of the LGBTQ community while advocating for social change. And this year, I'm thrilled to present the award to the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. For the last 20 years, many of you know, Funders for LGBTQ Issues has produced our resource tracking report, which tracks all grant-making made by US-based foundations to domestic LGBT communities annually. And as you know, this report identifies gaps and opportunities for funders looking to increase their investments and their support to queer communities. We also have the much-anticipated top funders table in there every year. It shows the top funders in the field supporting our communities, and many of these funders have remained relatively the same over the past bunch of years. So when a new one enters the space, we all take notice. So in 2021, Robert Wood Johnson Foundation became one of the top 10 funders for LGBTQ issues for the first time, with over $9 million in grant making to our communities and causes. And if you want to look back over time, in 2017, that foundation had only done about $600,000. So this is a really huge leap up. So this is a mammoth change, and one that we know would not have been possible without the education, mobilization, and organizing of foundation staff within. So here to accept the award on behalf of RWJF is Mike White, a program associate with the foundation. And Mike's right there. And I first met Mike over email back in the ancient days of 2018, when I was in my first year of being the Gutsy project director for Funders. Mike reached out to express his interest in building momentum within RWJF to increase their support for trans communities. This is before we had the Gutsy Pledge, right? So this is even before a lot of the Gutsy and the programmatic work of that project even really started. So Mike continued to stay in touch with me, asking interesting questions, sending me updates, and asking for advice on how he can work with his colleagues. And while they were very professional and they did not tell me anything that they were cooking up, they were very like, we're doing something here, just hold on a sec. It was clear that they were committed to changing the course of RWJF's grant making on a larger scale to be more responsive and in deeper partnership with LGB, and especially trans communities. So fast forward to today. You're now seeing Robert Wood Johnson Foundation in the top 10 funder list of 2 past tracking reports. And I remember when they first entered that top 10 list, I was getting emails and phone calls from other funders and nonprofits who were, very frankly, surprised. They're surprised by the sudden appearance of the foundation on that list, but they're also incredibly excited. It was just wonderful to see some new faces in that bunch. So something that is not as visible, though, but is still also happening, and I want to thank them for. Mike and his colleagues have also begun the longer-term work of organizing with other funders, so outside of RWJF, to maximize their grant-making impact and to pass on lessons that they've learned from their own internal work. RWJF's rise to become a major funder for LGBTQ communities and movements has been a welcome bright spot amidst the current climate of hostility and hate against our communities. So the proof is in the pudding, as it were, and we are pleased to honor the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation for stepping up in a most crucial time. So please join me in congratulating them for hard work well done.
Is someone, do you hold it? Okay. All right. Okay. I have it. I'm just going to use it here. Okay. Y'all, I'm going to read off my phone because that's easier for me than this. I hope that's okay. Thank you for this. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Saida. Thank you, Rebecca. And thank you, April. Thank you, so many people in this room. Other than hosting this event, I would not be here with all of y'all. The number of dumb questions that people have let me ask, the number of ignorant things people have let me say, and they haven't kicked me out of rooms, and they've still let us keep doing this work. Thank you so much. Thank you to Jeanette Elstein and Krista Scott from the RWJF team who are here with me from Philly and from Jersey, They lead a lot of this work with me. For those of you that don't know, we don't have like a queer portfolio at RWJF, so it is embedded throughout all the different aspects of work that we do, whether we're working on transforming the healthcare system, the childcare system, the tax system. We are trying to make it all really, really queer. Yeah. And before I forget, I do want to thank my friend Sam Brandman who made me this outfit this week. There's a lot going on in the world right now, but I like to bring whimsy to the situation, whether or not it should be there. It should always be there. I'm going to hurry up, April. I'm sorry. I'm so honored to be here accepting this today on behalf of RWJF. One of the reasons I came into philanthropy from the organizing world is because I saw how radically human this sector was, for better or worse. And I know there are funders out there using algorithms. We use rubrics. We're smart. We have qualitative, quantitative data. But at the end of the day, one of the things I love about RWJF is that we have really amazing people, real human people, who are making really important decisions about really big sums of money that impact huge things. And there's a lot of room for error in that, but when I came into this space, I saw it as a space to really make radical change. And that was 8 years ago, and I think we're kind of doing it at RWJF. I don't know if I've reached the whole sector yet. I'm trying, I don't know, but at least for our funder, I think we're really kind of getting there. So I remember being on the other side of grant agreements and thinking, oh my God, this sucks. And I remember at some point my program officer reading my face and I was not holding it together. And they said, you know, you can get some letters behind your name and you can go do this. there we go. So I did it. We're just a bunch of people. I know this is an award for funders who aren't known to be queer funders, and that is probably right. We are definitely think of ourselves as a health foundation first, but this commitment to raising up the leadership of trans people of color in our grant making across our strategies was not born out of any intention to become a queer funder, as much as Mike White would love for us to do that, right? This was based out of a real intention to truly and intersectionally live up to our values when we talk about health equity being a right for all Americans. That's something we talk about a lot at RWJF. We talk about health equity, breaking down the barriers to health so everyone can live a full life no matter where they're born or what situation they're born to. And we know in this room that that not only includes queer people, but it has been led by queer people for a very long time, queer people of color in particular. And I am so honored that we get to work with so many amazing trans-led and trans-serving organizations all over the country, groups like Collage, groups like the Trans Law Center, groups like A4QE, which I'm not going to remember the thing for right now, but Advocates for Transgender Equality, and so many more people that are doing such incredible work all over the place. We view dealing with the incredible attacks happening on the GNC community, and particularly trans people, trans people's families, doctors that work with trans people, people that care for trans people, and we see that and we understand as a health funder that is our role to play, but also as a philanthropy. We know that the light of the resources and opportunity of philanthropy have for so long precluded trans leaders of color, and so we see that as our role as a philanthropy to lift up that leadership and frankly to try to undo so much of the harm that we've done by funding so many white dominant groups that have white dominant ways of organizing, leader structures, goals, and otherwise to perpetuate the status quo. I'm really about to stop, I promise. So this commitment, which really does span our whole foundation and is embodied by so many people that we work with, hopefully y'all can understand by the groups that I just mentioned, is really something that we are so excited about and that means so much to us and that we're not going to back down from, and that I am personally so thrilled that we've gotten to this point. If you're a funder in the audience who doesn't consider yourself a queer funder, you want to know how we did it, you want to talk brass tacks, I'm here. You can email me at any time. I would love that. Funders, Alex in particular, Alex probably remembers this time that I emailed, he already mentioned it. I thought that I had ruined everything, y'all, and funders came in and they were like, oh no, baby, we're gonna fix this together. So thank you all so much. Oh my goodness, I've rambled, I've gone off script. Thank you again. Have a great evening.
Good evening. Can y'all hear me? My name is Shayna Johnson, and I serve as the project director for Funders for LGBTQ Issues Out in the South program. Out in the South aims to transform the culture of philanthropy in the South to honor the fact that LGBTQ people and families are a part of every community in the region, and nearly for 10 years, we've been doing just that. We've made many strides in the last 9 years. We've worked with Southern and national funders to achieve our initial goal of seeing more than $60 million in new philanthropic dollars invested in the South over 5 years. We've awarded over $3.7 million to intermediaries committed to building the capacity of local and regional LGBTQ movement work through the Out in the South Fund. And we've witnessed the Out in the South region move from the most underfunded region in the U.S. to the second most funded region, though we know that isn't the full story. In partnership with Swim Services, Out in the South just completed our programmatic evaluation, and as we prepare to enter our 10th year anniversary, we're reflecting on the work that has been done till now and the work that we still have ahead of us. We have an amazing cohort of grantees. Our grantees are intermediaries that are focused on Southern work in the most rural areas in the country that are severely underfunded by national philanthropic dollars. And as we prepare to usher in our future with all of you, tonight we honor 2 of those organizations who have had transformative impacts on the funding in the Southern movement and organizing with the Out in the South Leadership Award. The Campaign for Southern Equality and Queer Mobilization Fund are 2 different examples of the power of creative, nimble, and community-led funding. Intermediaries like them have a lot to teach philanthropy, and I hope you'll join us in celebrating them. Campaign for Southern Equality is actually one of our first grantees. Campaign for Southern Equality was a part of the research project that started the work of Out in the South. Queer Mobilization Fund is one of the funds it was the first of its kind in the area at the time, and we've seen that fund grow until now they're doing $300,000 a year in funding to small organizations in the rural South who are doing the work on the ground. Please join us in celebrating them on this special night and join awarding the Out in the South Leadership Award tonight. And with that, I welcome Paulina Helm Hernandez to the stage to present the first award.
Hi, family. Can y'all hear me? It's good to see you all. I love the queer and trans fashion show that this promised to be. Thank you for meeting us there. My name is Paulina Helm Hernandez, and I am program officer for the U.S. Southeast Foundation for a Just Society, and it's so good to be with y'all tonight. I also have the distinct honor of serving on the board of Funders for LGBTQ Issues as vice chair. And I'm curious, because I see a lot of beautiful people in the audience, are there any Southerners in the house? Yes. All right. It is an honor to be with y'all this evening to present the Out in the South Award to Campaign for Southern Equality. Rooted in Western North Carolina, a state that I call home, Campaign for Southern Equality's leadership, work, and grant making is keenly focused on the lives of LGBTQ people loving, living, and fighting for equality in the Southeast. As part of the Trans Futures campaign, Campaign for Southern Equality is also helping to shape a national strategy to direct more resources to our region's most under-resourced communities. And TGNC leaders fighting for a better, more inclusive gay, lesbian, bi, trans, queer South and nation. Please help me in welcoming Campaign for Southern Equality's Allison Scott to the stage.
All right, tall trans woman in the house. We got to move the mic up. Thank you. For years, many have talked about the South as a place filled with profound challenges. But I believe, whoops, this is on the wrong page. Let me get this back. On behalf of the Campaign for Southern Equality, I want to say how deeply honored and humbled we are to receive the Out in the South Award along with SVA. This recognition means the world to us because it acknowledges the heart of our work, creating a more just, equitable, loving South for LGBTQ people. To be recognized by Funders for LGBTQ Issues, an organization that has done so much to uplift and amplify the work of Southern organizations, is a true privilege. Thank you for believing in our mission and standing beside us in the fight for dignity and equality for every LGBTQ person in the South, especially those in rural areas and small towns. For years, many have talked about the South as a place filled with profound challenges. But I believe, as a Southerner, we are waking up to the fact that these challenges are not exclusive to the South. They belong to our country as a whole. As we've seen in recent years, hateful laws have been passed across the U.S., yet it's the people and communities in the South that are leading the way, challenging these laws, and showing the rest of the country what it means to show up for each other with care, compassion, and resilience. This award isn't just a recognition of what we've accomplished. It's a reminder of the work still ahead. The path to true equality in the South may be long, but we are as determined as ever to continue walking arm in arm with our community. Together, we will keep pushing forward until every LGBTQ person feels safe, valued, and free to thrive in the place they call home. We are deeply grateful to our community partners, donors, and most importantly, to the individuals and families across the South who have trusted CSE to stand with them as they live authentically with pride. Thank you again for this incredible honor and for your ongoing support of our work. We will carry this moment with us as a reminder of the power of love, resilience, and community. Thank you.
We got a part two of the Out in the South Award. I'm Glo Ross. I'm a program officer at Arcus Foundation. I'm also on the board of Funders for LGBTQ Issues. And first of all, let me just say, y'all look good from here. I'm honored to present the Out in the South Award to the Queer Mobilization Fund for significant leadership in grant making for LGBT communities in the U.S. South. Part two, we got a part two to the award. Now, at face value, QMF resources community mobilizations and projects that support queer and trans people of color on the front lines of struggles for freedom and liberation across the South. That already is award-winning in my book. But the strength and liberatory potential of QMF is more than that central goal. They got superpowers, y'all. Superpowers like readiness to respond to the communities they serve, their willingness to be led by those on the ground, and the audacity to keep dreaming bigger. You can see this superpower in their work over the past few years. QMF was created in 2016 as a rapid response fund to support queer and trans liberation in the wake of NC House Bill 2. Y'all remember that? All right. Well, they emerged, ready to respond, willing to be led. Now, since 2020, the team, Ricky, Asher, Toriana, has been intentionally growing the program with each year bringing more funds to disperse, more applications, more grantees in their cohorts beyond North Carolina. And last year, they received a record-breaking 165 applications for their 2023 cycle. Thanks to the fund's leadership, QMF met the need by raising enough funds to double the organizations they supported with grants and capacity building. That's the audacity to keep dreaming bigger, y'all. That's the readiness to respond. They do it by focusing on new and emerging groups, often overlooked and underfunded, integrating wellness stipends for grantees, and having grant-making decisions led by a panel of Southern-based community leaders. That's the willingness to be led. And at Arcus, we know that queer and trans liberation runs through the what? The South. It runs through the South. But I also know that we're a private foundation with the headquarters just a few blocks away in New York City. So we know it's just not possible to forge the kind of authentic relationships, the trust, and the capacity, support, and accompaniment with organizations in the South that QMF is positioned to do. And that's in part why we fund them and why you should too if you're not. So to wrap up, I believe it's so important for us to celebrate and uplift examples of those who are doing the work of grant making that seeds power, that's anchored in accountability, and that's in service to a larger collective mission and not individual personalities. And with QMF at the helm, being led by the needs and the vision of queer and trans people on the front lines, our movement everywhere, not just in the South, is in good hands. So please join me in congratulating and welcoming QMF, Queer Mobilization Fund, for their leadership.
Thank you so much, Glow. That was amazing. You did us proud. Hello to everybody. My name is Ricky Bratz, and I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the director of the Queer Mobilization Fund. So as you heard, the Queer Mobilization Fund is a regranting fund. We're a program of the Southern Vision Alliance based in Durham, North Carolina, lands of the Eno and Occaneechi Band of the Saponi Nation. And we are so honored to be receiving the Out in the South Leadership Award alongside Campaign for Southern Equality. This recognition affirms the work we are doing to be a regional resource for building organizational capacity and power within queer and trans BIPOC communities in the US Southeast. The growth that we have experienced over the past few years has truly been incredible and very unplanned. And we tripled our grant-making budget in 2023. We doubled our grantee cohort, and we're still growing. Thank you. Working hard to figure out more ways to get more resources to our people. We deeply appreciate the support from funders for LGBTQ issues and all of our funders to be able to do this work with intentionality and with accountability. And as you also heard, we prioritize funding and supporting queer, trans, BIPOC, grassroots, small, overlooked. I think a quarter of our cohort last year was rural. And we also provide accompaniment and capacity building that's liberatory and outside of the traditional nonprofit industrial complex. Not every group wants to have a 501c3. How do we get them resources? As a regranting fund housed within a nonprofit intermediary organization that specializes in fiscal sponsorship, we're able to move resources in a way that traditional funders can't or aren't willing to do to reach and bolster truly grassroots and community-led movement organizations. From supporting organizations involved in protecting and amplifying Indigenous Two-Spirit lineages and QT BIPOC body positivity, to queer rural earth care practices, and assisting queer and trans immigrants in detention, some of the work of our grantees. Our grantees are the real leaders of this critical work. And we look forward to continuing to build relationships with more of you as we go into the future. I probably haven't talked to like most of you in the room because I'm very introverted, so if you want to come talk to me afterward, please come say hi. But yes, this award is for queer and trans liberation. Thank you.
Long time no see, y'all. How you doing? I would just like to note that in my dreams, we would have this section be like a catwalk fashion show, and there would be a Luther Vandross impersonator. But my team are haters. What can I say? So, with that, tonight I have the sublime honor of presenting the Grantmakers United for Trans Community Leadership Award, more commonly known as the Gutsy Leadership Award. Yeah, let's do it. This award is presented to philanthropic institutions that have demonstrated significant leadership in grant making for trans communities. And as its name might imply, it celebrates fearless, powerful interventions to the culture of philanthropy that provide new possibility models for our sector. The Fund for Transgenerations at Borealis has done just that. I'm smiling like I won this award. I did not. Since its founding in 2016, FTG has awarded more than $11 million in grants to powerful trans-led movement organizations across the country, providing many emerging groups the support they need to both thrive and grow. In 2023, they moved more than 80 grants to trans-led groups through both rapid response and general operating support. The sheer breadth of this grant making is monumental and underscores the ways in which over the course of its 8 years, FTG has forever changed the landscape of funding for trans-led movements. The fund's creation story highlights the advocacy, thought, leadership, and work of brilliant, big-hearted, and strategic organizers within philanthropy and movement. People like Ricky Mananzala, Kiyomi Fujikawa, Aldita Gallardo, and so many others laid the foundation for the fund's visionary work and ensured community-led participatory grant-making was at its heart. And under the leadership of the one and only Dominique Morgan, the Fund for Transgenerations has reached new heights, continuing FTG's crucial peer-led grant-making strategy, partnering with movement organizations to hold spaces for donor organizing and education, and launching new funding initiatives to pour into Black and Brown trans movement leadership. We celebrate FTG today for its history, its power, and its promise. Please join me in welcoming Dominique Morgan to accept the Gutsy Award on behalf of the Fund for Transgenerations.
Okay, so I know April has printed things. Listen, y'all see the theme? They were not playing. I'm a Pisces. I never write anything down. I thank God for like voice to text and ChatGPT for pulling this all together for you all. Beyonce once said, it was after several changes had happened with Destiny's Child. And an interviewer, what is exciting now? And, Beyonce said, everyone can sing lead because everyone can sing lead now. And listen. And I have the opportunity to often be positioned to speak and stand up and have my face out here. But I get to sing lead because everybody on FTG sings lead. And so, Lucas and Lupe, will you please stand up? There is not a grant, there is not a thought, there is not a strategy, there is not a plan that happens without us working together as a team. And I struggled with that at first because accountability and the responsibility to move these dollars is on me every day. And the best leaders understand that we have to listen to the people that we expect to be excited to be led by us. We have to be accountable to that. We have to lean in. And if you've met Lupe, I really didn't have a choice but to lean in because my good sis will snatch you up. But then we had Lucas come in that rounded us out perfectly. Lucas, you are one of the most incredible leaders I have ever met, and we are so proud to have you on our team. Together, we are committed to serving our community in ways that are innovative, human-centered, and grounded in true change-making. Our work is rooted in the understanding that we are creating spaces and systems that were never built for us. Yet we are here, demanding our place and forging a path for trans people to not only survive, but thrive in a world that often tells us we shouldn't exist. This work is not easy. And it's not the grant making that I'm talking about. It's the fact that we are in the trenches with the people. That it is Miss Major is not inboxing you all on Facebook asking about a grant, but she's inboxing me. All right, Auntie Cayenne, if you've met Auntie Cayenne from Glitz, Auntie Cayenne is calling my phone at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I wouldn't have it any other way, because it means that the folks that we serve, that we are not only accessible to them, they don't question that we're here to serve them. There are days when we meet our work with fiery energy, and there are days that we get on a Zoom call and we just have silence, because we know what it takes for us to get through the day as trans folks of color trying to shift a system that is just starting to recognize that dollars from said system should go to people that look like us. But no matter what we bring to the table, one thing is non-negotiable: we move forward. Because if we don't, who will? I am profoundly grateful for this acknowledgement, but I want to be clear, you really haven't seen anything yet. We are just beginning. I am just catching my stride in this thing. It's like a brand new pair of heels. It's really, right, really cute in the store. Feet kind of hurt. That was year one. We're coming on year 2. 2025, baby, I'm gonna be strutting through here. I'm gonna be like, who is that? Her heels feel really good on her right now. I wanna take a moment to acknowledge the space in which we work in philanthropy. It's the nexus where we activate our vision. And it's been a privilege to work alongside this community of incredible change makers. Allison, my new co-chair for the Trans Futures Funding Campaign, right? Ash, who is going to text me and tell me, do you remember to hop on the meeting and fix your face on the Zoom? We can see you. Saida, who has been incredibly gracious. I see so many of our community members out in front of us today who have supported me in this first 2 years in this work, but who I know have been at the table of FTG from the very beginning. Our president, Amaretta Morris, leads us with a spirit of hope, strategy, and care that inspires us all. Someone asked me the other day, why did I apply for this job? I applied for this job because I wanted to work for a Black woman. Because I did not think the universe was gonna give me that opportunity. And I'm excited to be a part of a team of leaders, mostly Black women at Borealis, who are doing the work to move almost $70 million to communities all across this country. I've always said, in a perfect world, like in my Pisces head, when I say this part, there's the music from Dreamgirls. Y'all know that part in Dreamgirls at the end, when it's the 3 and they're singing and they're like, but there's originally like 4 Dreamgirls, right? In that time, and I think this is gonna happen at the 10-year anniversary, we'll bring out all the people who helped FTG like come to fruition. I wanna shout out Kiyomi. I wanna shout out Aldita for her incredible work in this project. Ryan Lee for bringing me into the fund and holding this fund down for the 7 years before it was handed over to me. And anyone who's come into FTG and has shepherded our ideas, our thoughts, and our beliefs. The years of labor and dedication from so many people have allowed me, as a Black trans woman, to step into this role 2 years ago and carve a space for others who look like me. I was just at the United States Conference on HIV and AIDS last week. I'm April, I promise I'm almost done. I was just at USCHA last week, and I am used to young Black trans women coming up to me and asking me about my hair, or asking me about what's happening with my nails, or when I was at Black and Pink, it was, I want to be an executive director. For the first time, Black trans girls are telling me they want to be philanthropists. They're asking how can they resource their community. They're asking what they can be a part of that is bigger than the labor that people think our bodies are made to do as Black trans women. And for me, that is what progress looks like. Saida, I want to thank you, and funders, Saida, you have been lovely to me from the time that we met. Being a co-chair of the Trans Futures Funding Campaign has taught me so much about philanthropy and team building and thought leadership. This vision strengthens who we are. This work creates who we get to be. And I am thankful to be one of the captains of this ship as we sail to greater waves for us as trans people. Thank you.
Good evening. Hey, hey. Who am I? I hope President and all of my future friends will know the answer to that question. I'm one of the founders of this organization 40 years ago. I'm Michael Seltzer, and I'm joined, first of all, honoring Catherine Acey, another one of our founders. And I have to acknowledge Terry Lawler. Terry, please stand up. Terry's the third mother here. I prefer to call myself mother than father. This is a very special moment for us, and I hope it gives us great joy to see what we've grown. We were hanging on a meeting Terry and Catherine and I were at 40 years ago saying, should we continue this organization? We're the only thing left at the time. The people who were LGBT, the people particularly would see one of us coming and run for the other direction. Because they were closeted, and we were brave enough to be out at the time. How do we describe Catherine Acey? How? I came up with these words: guide, mentor, conscience, activist, doer, prophet, historian, and I'll add beloved. Each of you are able to choose your own words to describe Catherine if you've had the privilege that my sweetheart Ralph and I have had for 42 years of knowing her. I would choose all these terms. I'm still constantly learning from her. In the early 1980s, I had just stepped down as the first staffer of the Funding Exchange, the newly established Association of Social Justice Public Foundations in New York City, as you probably know it by its New York member, the North Star Fund. Yay, sing after Carth. And I had stepped down from that position. I had mentioned to Catherine that there was a job opening in a foundation called the North Star Fund. And that was her introduction to philanthropy, and it's probably one of the wisest things I've ever done in my entire life. After her tenure at North Star, she spent the next 23 years as executive of Australia Lesbian Foundation for Justice. Can you imagine 23 years and what it has accomplished not only here in the United States but around the globe? Let's be clear, Catherine was an anomaly. She was an out lesbian from the very beginning at a time when there were very few out men, women in the field of foundations. I was an exception among men. And she's had the longest career as an out lesbian in foundations, which is something we celebrate tonight. Now let's turn to Paul Rappaport. He was known by many things. He had great choices of sweaters. He impressed me ineffably. I go to his house, he showed me 6 different colored sweaters. He was born in and I'm mentioning the course that Catherine is gaining the Paul Israel Rappaport Award tonight. Paul was born on March 5th, 1940 in Flushing, New York, and died at the age of 47, of course, from AIDS, on July 9th, 1987. He was a co-founder of both the New York City Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Community Services and Gay Men's Health Crisis. The private foundation that bore his name was, during its active years, one of the oldest and largest LGBT-focused foundations in the United States. In September of 1987, he left an estate of roughly $8 million. Think about $8 million back then, to establish the Paul Rappaport Foundation, which at his direction gave to LGBT and HIV/AIDS causes in the New York metropolitan area. It was a spend-down foundation and ceased operations in June 2015, but I know he's looking down at us tonight and looking very favorably and honorably at Catherine. Paul and Catherine were not close friends, but they were certainly fellow travelers and pioneers in their field. Paul represented an endowed foundation at the time when all LGBT funding was coming from public foundations like North Star and others. So today we stand on their shoulders, and it's very fitting that we bestow the Paul Rappaport Award for Lifetime Achievement in Philanthropy to Catherine tonight.
What a night. Woo! There's so many people I love in this room. It's amazing. I'm a bit overwhelmed, actually, and so happy to be here. It's truly an honor, and one that I humbly share with so many folks, many of you in the room and others not here, and some who have passed on. I'm standing on so many shoulders tonight, and not only because I'm probably one of the shortest people in the room, but you're making me feel like a giant, and I did wear some platform shoes. It's a joy. Someone earlier mentioned what a joy it is. And for me, it's a joy to be in such company, wonderful, fun change makers. I am certainly standing on your shoulders, Michael. Thank you for those very kind and generous and loving words. You who guided me to North Star. I don't know whether to thank you or not. There were days when I certainly didn't want to, but that was decades ago. And you, who with me and others founded Funders, our friendship and love endures. There were so many back rooms at conferences, so many people, queers and allies, so many untold stories of this organization and its evolution. Some of those stories can never be told. Just saying. I was going to make a terrible sex joke, but I'm not going to. I just want you to know I never had conference sex. I just want you to know. I had principles. Okay. Yeah. I would love to do an oral history project, so. Line up in the back later. All right. All right, seriously, it's very comforting for me to see the new energy and faces in this room. Well, they're new to me. But also to look out and see so many of you that I have laughed with, cried, vented, debated, conspired, strategized, and worked with. And despite that, you have forgiven me and are giving me this honor tonight. Wow. I say big congrats to you, Saida, and the whole team, staff and board, for staying the course, expanding and building on the legacy of your predecessors and their amazing teams over these past 4+ decades. Say their names: Nancy Cunningham, Karen Zellermeyer, Ben Francisco Malbec. And I would like to bring the spirit of Achebe Powell into the room. A founding mother of Estrella and a moral compass and a guiding light for me and many of us. An African-American lesbian who was often the only one, the only African-American, the only lesbian in the room. MG broke through and she did blaze a trail. Thank you, Ricky. I didn't know Paul Rappaport, but I did know the staff who ran the foundation, and they were an important part of funders. This award honors a philanthropic professional. However, I think of myself more as a professional lesbian feminist. And a philanthropic critic. and radical reformer. I'm not sure if those two things go together, but I think you know what I mean. For me, working in philanthropy, and especially having the privilege to be at public foundations, North Star, Estrella, and then even in part of the International Human Rights Initiative at OSF, sadly, it's been dismantled, and also to help found and be on the boards of the Women Funding Network, and also Prospera, the international network of women's funds, was more about having a platform, if you will, to practice and advance an inclusive, intersectional, multi-movement building approach in the service of freedom and liberation for all peoples. Always striving to have a sharp analysis of race, class, gender, and so much more. I know it is a lot, but we've got to do it, and we have to be intentional about it every day. One reward of that is being here together and having a night like this, one of joy. And we may not be dancing, but I'm one of those people that believes in Emma Goldman, and it's not my revolution unless I can dance. But as I continue to preach to the converted, all of you, let me add and that I believe the philanthropic institutions are tools, and I'm sure you agree. We are not the solution. And as many of us cross over from our nonprofits, from organizing, from cultural work and advocacy, we are more the facilitators. We are not directing, and we have power that needs to be acknowledged and used respectfully, collaboratively, and with curiosity and engagement with our grantee partners. Please, all of you, and I support you in this, continue to build a multi-generational, multiracial, multi-gendered movement and build the relationships that inform those movements. The events team here is tough. They've been terribly effective and graciously tolerated me all these weeks. I see right now that they're fact-checking me. They're about to turn off my mic because they're better than some. And again, I want to leave you with my heart filled with much love, hope, and gratitude. Lastly, be kinder than necessary to folks. And I give you permission to make one or two exceptions. Carry on. Saida, bring us home.
I have not teared up like this since the cast reunion of Queer Ultimatum. Can you please join me in one last round of applause for our incredible honorees? I'd also like to thank our incredible sponsors tonight for investing in this wonderful celebration. As I mentioned earlier, it can feel surreal to insist on celebrations in a time like this, yet it is imperative to make space for joy. We are honored to have been able to gather our network this evening and thank the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Foundation for a Just Society, Marguerite Casey, Stupsky, Miss Foundation for Women, LNC Associates, the May and Stanley Smith Charitable Trust, and last but not least, the Third Wave Fund for helping make tonight both possible and fabulous. I would also be remiss not to thank all of the funders for LGBTQ issues, staff and board. Along with, in April, I promise, I'm only ad-libbing this part and we're gonna be right back on schedule. I would like to thank our fabulous Director of External Affairs, April Bethea. Please also join me in thanking our host committee for helping to spread the word and otherwise being stewards of this event. Outshine for all of their work shepherding this event. And last but not least, as a melder in the room, it's like my version of elder, but like medium, like melder. I would like to say to Catherine, to Michael, to Terry, to all of those who helped to found Funders for LGBTQ Issues, I hope you feel proud of where we come. I hope you feel proud of what we've turned your roots into. Thank you. And I would like to thank, I think I lied. I would like to thank each and every one of you for your tireless support, commitment, and faith in the work of funding LGBTQ movements. We now invite you to join us back on the roof for a performance by Queerly Fantastic and music from DJ Robbie Delight. Thank you so much.